All right, we are streaming. We're going to get started here in about 7 minutes. And so I'm grateful if you're watching this on the replay. I am more than grateful that you're here. The next probably 6 or 7 minutes, unless I get to edit it out, will probably be just getting ready. So if you're watching this on the replay and I don't get an opportunity to edit this portion out, thank you so much for watching. I would scroll a little bit to get to the point where we're actually getting kicked off. So I'm grateful that you're here, and I'm just going to continue doing my thing. We go live often. We haven't for the past month or so, so we're still getting used to how this process works. And so I'll have to be getting up occasionally and doing some things for the next 5 or 6 minutes. But I'm so grateful that you're here. Going to check out, actually wearing headphones today, and not sure why, because I am still learning how to do this thing. But again, you'll want to probably scroll forward if you're catching this on the replay. Again, thank you so much for being here. Very, very grateful. All right, we had an ad inserted. Hey, Juan, what's up? Strong's here. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Good to see you. Hope the audio, let me make sure the audio is okay. Making sure the audio is there. Let me know. I'm going to get it for just a second. Audio is great, good. You probably hear me scurrying around the house. I'm just getting everything ready, get my cup of coffee ready. We have a lot to talk about that's needful discussion, if you will. Very needful discussion. Be just a few moments. Audio is great, good. You probably hear me. That's my microwave, in case you're wondering. And of course, I'm getting text right in the middle. I always do. Appreciate your patience here. We'll get started in 4 minutes. Appreciate your patience. Well, yeah, I'm cooking coffee, Strongs. I'm cooking coffee. All right, be just a few more moments. Appreciate you guys waiting. Again, this conversation today is exciting, and I'm thrilled to be able to talk about this. And it's one of those conversations that needs to be had. We need to talk about this. I need to get that out of the microwave so it's not beeping. Be right back. All right. So now I've got to pick which screen. Carolyn is she's out of town. She'll be here in about 2 hours or 3 hours after the stream. She may catch a little bit of it, so she's not able to monitor the messages. The all of the messages here in the comments. So Juan says, "Yuck, coffee." Well, there's chocolate in it, Juan, so that makes it okay. Food's done. Excellent. And now what I'm going to do is share just a couple of things. Make sure that our people have access. We want to have this conversation, even though I'm risking demonetization on this. And I'm okay with that. It's not going to. One of the conversations we had, if you guys remember, it was back, I think, January or early February. And I said, this one's going to get demonetized. It did. It stayed monetized for a while, and I don't know what happened, but it got demonetized. And that's what we're going to talk about today is what is freedom of speech? And what is freedom? Defining freedom and determining, really just talking about solutions, because there is an issue. There is an issue with the concept of freedom of speech and how we're implementing it in today's corporate world. And it's kind of frightening, but maybe not. Maybe there's a solution, and we want to talk about solutions. Be 1 second. Be just a couple more seconds here. And we'll be on our way. Sometimes preparing this stuff can take a while. And now the notification saying we're live. If you're just now joining us, my name is Bill Marion. This is A Nose for Life. A little bit different this time than most of the time that we do our live streams, because we got a lot to talk about. There's been some things in the news that is just, it's not where it's frightening, because I'm not afraid of anything, but it's something that we need to talk about because it does affect this channel indirectly. Let's define freedom is what I'm putting here. Join us live. Check the comments, and then we'll get started. Appreciate your patience. All right, almost there. I found out there's a new way that you have to do the Facebook thing, that you actually have to put the link in the comment of your announcement, because if not, then you're not actually being registered properly on YouTube or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll go back to it. But again, I want to welcome everybody here and just say thank you for stopping by. It is always a pleasure to talk to you guys, because you guys always have some great insight, and welcome. So today we are talking about freedom. And freedom, what did I think it's Chris Christopherson said, that freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose, or something like that. I can't remember. I love that song. I think it's Me and Bobby McGee. Isn't that what that is? I'm pretty sure. But there's been some crazy news in the internet world, and it has me just a little concerned, because the whole concept is that there's some people that have been deplatformed, and essentially their voices have been silenced. And it's irrelevant if you agree with any of these personalities. And I'm not going to mention the personalities. They have been, quote unquote, deplatformed. And so I'm going to play by the rules, so to speak, for Facebook, and play by the rules for YouTube. And essentially just within the parameters of how I understand the rules, talk about freedom. Facebook came out a few days ago and mentioned a few names and said that if you mention these people, or if you share their links to their platform, to their personal web pages, if you do it too many times, or if you're replaying their broadcast on your own personal Facebook channel, then you risk being censored, essentially. And that's, I guess, the only way I know how to explain that is to, or the only way I know how to address that is to say that's kind of scary. for a multitude of reasons. And I'm hoping that you guys will help me work this out. And again, thank you for coming by. I do want to add that this is not what we normally do. Our channel is all about living life to the fullest, getting out into nature, getting out and doing something, really essentially getting off your couch, because there are always things within a couple of 100 miles of your home that you can go and explore and do. And it's just the concept of getting out. I started this channel during one of the lowest points in my life when I was uber depressed. I mean, just dark. It was just, everything was just awful. And what I felt like God was telling me is to get up, stop just letting everything get to me all the time and letting the darkness come in, and get outside in the sunshine. It was the best decision I ever made, because it completely reversed the direction my life was going in towards the destiny that God had for me. And I'm very grateful for that. And so I wanted to share that with everybody else, to share that with other people, to say, you know what, there's hope, but you've got to engage into that hope. I believe in faith. Faith is great, but faith is not something that's in here. It's an action. It's something that you have to do. And so I'm grateful that I had that moment, and I want to impart that moment to other people. Let's get to some comments really quick. As Juan Thomas said, freedom of speech is saying anything you wish without bad words. It's only one's opinion. You don't need to like it. You don't need to like it. I would argue that freedom of speech includes the bad words. Not that I like bad words, but freedom of speech is freedom. The issue that we're going to talk about, though, is internet freedom of speech. Because we all know what the Constitution says in the First Amendment. Let's read that real quick. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. That is the Constitution. But corporations and companies, they are protected as well. The platform that you're watching me on right now, YouTube, and regardless of how many people are able to watch this on the replay, YouTube has a right to tell me what I can and can't say. Now, that's something you've got to accept that's the era we're living in right now, is that they have a right. And this right stems from about 35 or 40 years of capitalism becoming more of a religion than a method of people making money. Now, be careful. I'm not against capitalism. Go capitalism. I wouldn't have started this channel if there wasn't another way to monetize what Carolyn and I do. I got a check from YouTube this month. I got paid great last year for the effort that we put into this. Very grateful for that. I'm happy that this is a platform where you can make money. Capitalism is good. We've never had it so good in the history of humanity as we have it right now. But the problem so often is that we put capitalism sometimes above maybe the right thing to do. But as of right this second, if YouTube wants to tell Bill Marion, you may no longer have a channel, we don't like your content, we don't like what you have to say, they have the right, despite what anybody else says, they have a right to say, you're fired, you're out. And that is concerning to me just a little bit, because where everybody's at right now, where are we at? We're on the internet. We are not in public townhouses engaging into debate in public. The government does not have a forum to express these varying political viewpoints. The forum is YouTube, Facebook, and so on, social media. That's the forum, and it actually assisted in getting the president elected during 2016. And this is not about President Trump. This is not about Congress. This is not about any of those things. It's about the ability to express your opinion in a forum where it matters. And right now, the forum that matters is social media. And we do not have a, quote, right to express whatever we want to. Again, that's the key, whatever we want to, in this forum that we're at right now. And is that a good or bad thing? I don't know. By the way, just to catch everybody up, Dixie Chicken says, tell us the names you can't say. You know what? That's the whole thing, is like, I'm going to play by the rules in this. And not by the rules, but I'm going to play within the parameters that they've set. Number one, because, hey, I have nothing to lose. Those names that we're talking about, you know who I'm talking about, those names, I'm not going to align myself up with everything that but more importantly, that their followers believe. Some of the names that are associated with this crackdown, I do not agree with, and especially their followers. Some of their followers are anti-Semitic and hateful, and they preach hate, and they're racist, and I want nothing to do with that. I'm not sure that some of those names associate with that, but it is striking. It's funny to me that some of those names, their followers by mass are racist, and not total, not all of them, but there is a huge anti-Semitic group within that group. Leah Golson says, "Hey, Bill." I say, "Hey, Leah, how are you?" Leah says, "That's why I'm moving from Facebook to MeWe." I haven't checked out MeWe yet. I think I need to. But MeWe, they need to change that name. MeWe. MeWe. I don't know. It could kind of stick. I don't know. Here's At the end of the day, you have to understand where this is going. It's not going to matter, because it's a matter of access and who controls the lines. Europe, in the European Union, and we were going to get to this later. The European Union, they've censored the web. Article 13, it's an international, basically ban there at the EU, where they have limited all information by way of links. Like, if you cannot link to this thing without paying this fee and paying that fee, and you can't link over here or over there without having to pay. You see, that is capitalism capitalist censorship. In other words, using money, using your pocketbook to actually censor you. I have no doubt that this video is likely to get demonetized, and I'm okay with that, because sometimes it's just not about the money. But what it comes down to is being able to say what you want to say without paying some type of penalty or something being withheld from you. It's a form of extortion. Say what we want you to say, or what we're okay with, and we'll pay you. So YouTube, there's nothing mean about it. Again, I love this platform. YouTube is amazing. I love YouTube. But at the same time, YouTube has fallen prey to this as well. They cracked down in 2016 and 17, and they were repaid by the EU censoring YouTube. Now think about that. YouTube even tried to crack down, and it wasn't good enough. Internationally, there is a narrative that wants to be controlled, bottom line. So it's not really just about the companies. Leah, I wish it was. I wish it was just about the companies, Facebook and Google, even YouTube. But it's not really about those individual companies. It's about corporations being able to make money, and they are ostracized and beat up if they don't play by a certain set of rules. Now, here's, from what I can gather from everything I've seen on the net, here's the rules. Capitalism is good. That's what everybody kind of agrees on. Making money is good, but you have to play within the parameters of what they dictate, whether that's, some people call it political correctness, social justice, some of that. And those rules change by the day. There's a lot of shaming now. And so corporations are playing along with that, and sometimes they're behind that. But what I fear is that sometimes it's targeting, and it's capitalistic targeting. In other words, some of the shaming has to do with the ability to make money from hurting one source of information so that another source of information seems superior. If you're not into this, and in other words, if you've not been noticing this, it's going to sound strange to you, like I'm giving some kind of conspiracy. None of this is conspiracy. None of this. This is in plain English, but a lot of people are just ignorant. They work their 9-to-5 jobs, they come on and sign on, and they ingest whatever information is available and enjoy their cat videos, and it's not a problem. A part of this video is knowing that a lot of people that watch my videos, that's exactly what they do. They love watching Carolyn and I go outdoors and do our hiking thing, our top 10 list, which we've got more of those coming out. They seem to be very popular. They watch those and they love it, but they really don't want to get into all this. There is a problem, and so we need to educate ourselves and to understand what's going on when we sign on to these platforms. Let's catch up in the comments here. Strong says, yes, I think YouTube has every right to say who can and can't say whatever. Yeah. I have the right not to watch YouTube. That's right. That's right, Strongs. The only counterpoint that I have to that is I want to watch YouTube. I want both. I want people to be able to say whatever they want to say. And let's talk about that before I get to the next comment. Here's the thing, is that since I started A Nose for Life, I have linked up with hundreds, not just dozens, but hundreds of people who I interact with upon occasion, who do not share my viewpoint about life, do not share my religion, my faith, do not share my specific beliefs about family and things like that. Very different people. and we get along, we share information, and we're not political. We don't engage into that kind of thing. They do their thing, I do my thing, and if you have a Venn diagram, wherever that overlaps is where we interact. I hope that made sense. I think it made sense. And it's a beautiful relationship. When censorship kicks in, and it already has, again, by capitalism and by people wanting to make money, you're going to play by the rules to make money. When that kicks in, I believe you limit the ability for that interaction because it creates more division. And that's what we don't need. I don't think some of the voices that have been deplatformed in such a violent way, I'm not sure some of them, I think it would have been better to have counter information. I think it would have been better to have allowed those voices to continue and bring better information as opposed to deplatforming. When you deplatform, you elevate the power of that information. I'm going to say that again. When you deplatform, you elevate the power of that information. And that scares me, and it should scare a lot of people. Strong followed up by saying, I also have every right to sink in millions of dollars and make my own platform and do what I want. You do, but the question is, it's not going to stop here. You have that right. That'd be awesome. You know, people go out and just, they buy their own servers, they do their own thing. But in one of these personalities that's been banned, the next step, and they've said it, and other entities against those entities have said it, they're going to go after the servers. It's not going to be enough to just take them away from their, it's going to be taking away their image, period. And that's where that progression goes. And that should scare people a little bit, even if you hate that information. And again, I do not line myself up with those individuals. I think some of them are harmless and probably using fear-mongering and some false news to make money, or fake news or embellished news. And it's annoying. It's annoying. And then sometimes you want to look at those entities and say, oh man, couldn't you have made things right instead of it going here, instead of it having to go all the way here? And it didn't happen. Going to Dixie Chicken, there are sites where you can say what you want, Bill, but it is racist, anti-Semitic, and filthy. That is free shit. Dixie Chick, you've made the point of this entire video. Free speech is ugly. It is not pretty. It is not free speech. Like Juan was talking about using bad words or whatever, or not using bad words in freedom of speech. In other words, what I was going to say later is freedom of speech done the way the Constitution says here. Let's see. Abridging the freedom of speech or the freedom of press. Freedom of speech doesn't include fake news that could get people hurt. It doesn't include hurting somebody else's character or lying on somebody. You know, we have laws to protect people. They're weak laws, but we have laws to protect people against that. And so that kind of goes along with what Juan was saying, is that you have a right to free speech. But there is a limitation there of hurting other people. The classic case is you can't go into a theater and yell fire if there's no fire in there, because you can cause a panic and get people hurt. So you don't have that freedom of speech just to spout off whatever you want to that may hurt other people. But what Dixie Chick says is just, it hits the nail on the head for why I wanted to go live this evening for about an hour and why I'm concerned with what's taking place. It's that, you're right, there are sites, Dixie Chick says again, there are sites where you can say what you want, but it's racist, it's anti-Semitic and filthy, and that is freedom of speech. And what's funny is people who oppose those views don't usually interact in sites where that much ugly goes on. Because in that much ugly, you get trolling, you get slander, you get all kinds of just yuck that takes place, and nobody wants to be a part of it. That was what was taking place on some of those other channels and personalities, is that all of the yuck was hurting a huge portion of information, and it caught like wildfire. It caught like wildfire in the same similar manner that early 1930s Germany did, early 1930s and mid 1930s Germany, where it was just a small portion of the population who was biting into all the hate and ugly, but it spread like wildfire, and in a moment of weakness, the entire country kind of fell for it and just went along with it. And that's a scary proposition for any country. So I understand the need to monitor. I understand the need to say, hey, what are these people capable of? Because with this platform, with Facebook, with all of the social media, you can do a lot of damage to a government. Remember, it was Facebook and other social media sites that started the Arab Spring a few years back. Just the simple notion of being able to get information out quickly, to overturn governments. So that is definitely something to consider. But freedom of speech is ugly. It's not pretty. And the ability to tolerate the ugly historically has been what's made us America. And what has made us great is the ability to have freedom of speech. A part of making America great should be the toleration of the ugly. And that is terrifying to me, that we are losing the ability to digest. I wouldn't say digest. We are losing the ability to ignore the ugly. And the reason why that's scary is because at any given moment, the tides can shift, the pendulum can swing the other way, and what you hold dear in your opinions, and I'm speaking to other people on YouTube that have completely different viewpoints about everything than I do. Personal opinions, religion, whatever. They have different opposing opinions. That pendulum swings. And I don't think it's going to swing in a way that's going to assist some of these other platforms or anything like that, but it very well could. In which case, the same rules that are used to hurt these other personalities and to deplatform these entities and to make it to where their voice is minimized to obscurity can be used for other things, including things like sharing the gospel of Christ. This channel is not a religious channel. It's not. This channel is not focused on anything other than going out and living life. But as a Christian and as a pastor, it is my duty, upon occasion, to share the gospel of Christ, because that's who I am. Whatever platform, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's out in public at Walmart, that when led, it's a part of my faith to say that, hey, there is hope in Jesus Christ. There is eternal life by accepting Jesus Christ as your Savior. And there is. And it's beautiful. It can change your entire life, and it can pick you up out of the darkest, deepest pit and transform you in every possible way. I believe that with all of my heart and soul. And it is my duty upon occasion in a YouTube video, because it's a platform. I make money on YouTube and I'm grateful for that. But just like the corporate world, and what I told one of my bosses one time, I can agree not to make my cubicle a platform, but I'm not going to be able to stop saying something upon occasion to a coworker who comes to me with marital problems because that happened, or comes to me with depression issue or suicide issues, and not be able to minister Christ when Christ saved me from those horrible things in life and rescued me from despair and depression, drug use, and the list could go on and on. So for me not to share Christ would contradict who I am. But this platform and Facebook, not that they're going to do that, because there are thousands of Christian channels on Facebook. Not that they're going to do that, or they have any intent to. So I want to say this: if this video is ever reviewed, if they ever look at this channel or look at this particular video and they look at it, I am not putting down the YouTube platform or saying that YouTube is cracking down on Christian channels. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what's taking place with these other personalities could very well take place. If you're a Muslim watching this, it could happen to you. It could happen to, if you're a Muslim and you want to spread Islam, it could happen to you. You could be censored the same way that some of these other channels are being eradicated. And that should be scary to you as well, even if you hate this channel or hate those channels or whatever the case is. If you're Hindu, if you're Buddhist, you just name off other religions. In the same manner that I'm concerned, I would hope that you would be concerned as well. Let's just catch up on the comments here. Mark says, Mark here, checking in. Mark, it's always good to see you. I've got a video coming up it's called Boston Overlook on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I filmed it just for you. And I love it. Mark, it's always good to see you. Mark here checking in. Just got out of work, 12-hour shift. Ugh, those are grueling. Listening on the car radio. The phrase, freedom has a price, has so many meanings. Yes, freedom has a price. And we were talking about that earlier, is that a part of that price is enduring somebody's stupidity. Even for some people, for some really educated people watching this right now who are smarter, better looking, more talented than I am, this channel might even annoy them. Why does Bill think he can have a YouTube channel? Man, who is he to have a YouTube channel? Man, there are so many better people. You're right. There are so many better channels. There are so many better people. And so there are people that have to endure this channel. They have to endure it because there are so many better channels out there. And so the space that I occupy, they have to endure. But again, not necessarily on YouTube, but constitutionally, they would have to endure that voice. Going forward, Dennis Jackson's back in the house. I'm back, and you keep preaching. I love it. Dennis, it's always good to see you. Always good to talk to you, man. I'm never going to stop preaching the love of Jesus Christ. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And this platform ever, and I don't think YouTube has any plans, again, to shut down people sharing the gospel of Christ. There are people at YouTube who are Christians. There are people all over the world who engage in YouTube who believe in Jesus Christ. I don't think that's coming anytime soon. I pray that it's not. But it's just the point that we should pause for a moment and have these discussions and monitor the way that the monetization works. I call it capitalistic control, using your pocketbook to control you. And that's a scary proposition. We're going to get more into that here in just a moment. By the way, if you're watching, if you could hit that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. And I would absolutely love it if you would just take a moment to share this on Facebook or Twitter or any of the other social media sites that you've got going on, and just say, hey, come join us in the chat room. That would be marvelous. And this time, again, I don't know if this gets demonetized or not. It may, because it's controversial, and we're kind of talking about YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So it could be that it gets demonetized. But that's okay. We want to engage into this conversation, and we want to make it to where we engage often about this conversation. So what we're talking about, for the past 25 or 30 years, man, capitalism, and I loved it because I was like a young Republican back in the 90s. I was like, dun, 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 and, you know, against all liberal ideas and whatnot. But I started noticing some things with NAFTA and a couple of other things that had me a little concerned about the direction we were taking, because I noticed that wages become stagnant, even though they're up right now. Praise God for our labors. That's awesome. But they were stagnant for a long time, and it bothered me that people that put capitalism and democracy kind of equal in morality, that bothers me just a little bit. Now, understand, I said this earlier, I'm going to say it again. We have this point in history, there are more people surviving, thriving, and doing well than ever before in history. You need to keep that in mind when I say this. So capitalism has been good for helping the most amount of people. And if you don't believe that, if you're more of a socialist person, I'm going to get to some socialist things in just a minute, but you have to accept that capitalism has been good for the most amount of people. It has. We've got to accept that. I accept that. I love capitalism. Again, I'm getting paid to make YouTube videos because of capitalism. Yay, capitalism. I love that part in Austin Powers. Do you remember that? Yay, capitalism. Anyway, yay, capitalism. I'm grateful for it. But we have to understand that capitalism has this dark side. It has this very, very dark side to it. It can control people. You can control vast amount of people without a military, without any government intervention at all, by controlling their pocketbook and their resources. And so you can implement on YouTube, you can implement, and Facebook, all of these other forums. I'm not just going to pick on YouTube, but all of these forums, you can control them by controlling their money. And there is no apparatus from the government to these companies. There's no apparatus to appeal to the government for freedom of speech, because these are private companies. And as we were talking with Strong's just a minute ago in the comments, there's nothing there so that you can appeal and say, hey, I should have a right to say this. There is no right for you to say what you want to on social media. They have a right to just kick you out. There's some issues there with the legality of the terms of service and whatnot. Like, you know, if they're deplatforming you or giving you a strike based on, or whatever the case is, based on their terms of service, sometimes you can appeal to their terms of service. But at the end of the day, they have the right to get rid of you. What I've noticed is that these companies are trying publicly to give people a chance to kind of straighten up their act and not be whatever they're accused of. But in the process, they're finding other ways within their terms of service to get rid of them, because maybe they're meeting the terms of service to an extent, but they have to redefine their terms of service. The terms of service is not for you. It's to protect the company. It's not to protect you. And it seems like we're at a point right now where we need some type of Bill of Rights for the internet. Again, the EU with censorship, and let's just take a look at what's taking place here in the EU. By the way, this site is at Electronic Frontier Foundation. In the future, I'll put this in the links for the replay. And let me just read a little bit. As the EU advances the new copyright directive towards becoming law in its 28 member states, it's important to realize that the EU's plan will end up censoring the internet for everyone, not just Europeans. A quick refresher, it says, under Article 13, a new copyright directive, anyone who operates a sufficiently large platform where people can post works that might be copyrighted, like text, pictures, videos, codes, games, etc., will have to crowdsource a database of copyrighted works that users aren't allowed to post and block anything that seems to match one of those database entries. These blacklist databases will operate to all comers. After all, anyone can create copyrighted work. That means that billions of people around the world will be able to submit anything to blacklist without having to prove that they hold the copyright to their submission, or for that matter, that their submissions are copyrighted. The directive does not specify any punishment for making false claims to a copyright, and a platform that decided to block someone for making repeated fake claims would run the risk of being liable to the abuser if a user posts work to which the abuser does not own the rights. The major targets of the censorship plan are the social media platforms, and it's social that should give us all pause. That's because the currency of social media is social interaction between users. I post something, you reply, a third person chimes in, I reply again, and so on. So in the article goes on, this was written, by the way, by Cory Doctorow, and again, later on, I'll have this in the description. You will read through here, and it's frightening as to what's basically the EU is doing. So a lot of our interaction, I have viewers on my channel from Europe, not many. Translation and financing the translation is a hard part for us. But we do have viewers from Europe. It would essentially shut down our ability in some cases to be able to run something in Europe. So I pose the question to you, are you at all thinking about global censorship? Do you see that post? Please put it in the chat here and let me know what you're thinking about when it comes to global censorship. Because to be quite honest with you, with the rules that are in place right now here in America and in Europe, dissenting voices towards, let's say, a corporate, we'll call it a corporate directive. And again, I love capitalism, but if a bunch of homies get together, a bunch of buddies within the framework of corporations get together and they decide a certain political narrative, as of right now, they can control the political narrative with the apparatuses that they have internally in place. They can control the entire conversation. Are you guys following that? I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one that's going, wow, that's weird. That's very weird because that means that they can control the conversation, any opposing voices at all. And that bothers me, even though I love this platform. I love YouTube, but it bothers me that even YouTube, not the people at YouTube, but Google and other corporate entities can put pressure on Google to make sure that certain voices are heard above other voices. It's already happening right now. And what I do is I would challenge you right now to basically look at the numbers, the statistics, let's say, that Fox News is putting up versus other companies, and notice what comes up more in the searches. You know, it's kind of frightening. Looking here at the comments, checking on any more comments here in the comment section. But, you know, I'm relying on you guys essentially to let me know if you're thinking some of the same things that I'm thinking when it comes to this. Because if so, it's not going to be these personalities or even somebody like me who has a platform here on YouTube or Facebook or a public platform. It's not going to be people like me that are outraged that actually make something happen. It's going to be people like you and your friends and your family. That's how these things have to be transformed. It has to become a part of our narrative back towards social media and towards the companies that we shop from to say, hey, look, we need a Bill of Rights to be able to say, you know, what I call a freedom of speech Bill of Rights on these platforms to outline where our rights. We should have rights to be able to say certain things without worrying about repercussions. On this channel, I should be able to mention my faith without worrying about financial repercussions. I should be able to voice my political views without financial repercussion. That should be able to happen on this platform. But as of right now, legally, that's not true. YouTube has a right, but I believe we should have a right to be able to express those things within this platform. Some people may not agree with me on that because there's all kinds of reasons why. Now, I mean, here, think about this, where if your religion is not tolerant of other people. I'm not talking about tolerance in a way that we all get together and sing Kumbaya. Folks, that's not practical. There are some religions that are just in conflict with other ones, and you have to accept that. That's a part of it. But there are even Christians who are essentially, when I say Christians, they are not Christians in the way that I believe. In fact, I would call them idolaters. I would call them hate mongers and evil. But they, under the Christian flag, so to speak, they're terrorists. And their voices can create terrible situations. And so being able to manage between somebody who's just promoting their beliefs versus somebody who's promoting terrorism and hate, that's a tricky situation. If you remember going back to the early YouTube days, like before I even had a YouTube account, when I would just go to youtube.com and surf around cat videos, there was stuff on YouTube that was bad, like not like evil. I mean, just wrong. And every now and then it would kind of surface. I don't know if anybody else remembers that, but there wasn't really any kind of restrictions on YouTube. It was, as we would say in the South, it was Katie bar the door. Still don't understand that expression, Katie bar the door, but that's what it was like. It's like we're entering a new limited information era, where it's a new era where your information is going to be basically whatever you can sift through on Google. I remember loving Google when it first came out. I thought it was the best search site ever, and it was. Maybe capitalism and all of its greatness and glory can fix this, because maybe another search engine can come around and help, like Bing. Okay, probably not Bing. Probably definitely not Bing. But maybe that's the answer. Is maybe capitalism that got us kind of in this mess can get us out of it. That's what a lot of proponents of capitalism, that's what they argue. I've spoken to some business people who, they're schooled and trained in capitalism. They've been to business school, they got their masters and beyond, and they love some capitalism. And they're not scared about this at all. They just shake their head and go, capitalism will fix it, because that's what they believe. They say that, it's all about what's making money and what isn't. And if you can provide another product, the product is the answer. I'm not convinced that they're right about that. I'm just not. Maybe they are. Maybe like Leah was talking about MeWe. Maybe that's a part of the solution, is a MeWe. We've dropped down to a few viewers because it got all serious up in here and stuff. But listen, I want to say again that I'm grateful that you've stopped and by and we're talking about this, about how crazy this censorship thing is, man. And is it okay? Like, again, I said this earlier, I'm not concerned with the specific individuals who were banned or deplatformed. I don't line myself up with them. I'm not for them and think whatever. But it does concern me that they have the ability to eliminate those voices. That when I say they, I'm talking about all of these amazing companies who've brought us this awesome technology and ability to connect, that they also have the ability to disconnect certain opinions and opposing ones, even if those opinions and their followers are ugly and hateful. Freedom has a cost. Mark said it earlier, the cost of freedom. I remember, always good to see you, Juan. Juan said, I'm still here. Well, great. I'm grateful. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, if you remember that group, they sung the Sweet Judy Blue Eyes and Helplessly Hoping, Our House. I don't know if you're Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young fans, but they used to have a song. It was kind of on the B side of their album, and on the tape, it was on the second side, one of the last songs, And it was a really cool song, and it was called "Find the Cost of Freedom." And the lyrics kind of went, "Find the cost of freedom buried in the sand. Mother Earth will swallow you, etc., etc., etc." And the whole, you kind of had to interpret that song however you wanted to interpret it. But the cost of freedom is high. It's been paid for with blood. It's been paid for with effort and energy and scholarship. The cost of freedom is extraordinary, and a part of that, as we've talked about in here, is putting up with stupidity, putting up with ignorance, putting up with those voices of hate and ugliness. That is a part of the cost of freedom. Is it possible, I want to pose this question too, is it possible that maybe capitalism has fixed it, and this is a part of the way capitalism has fixed it? That maybe the voices that have shot down those entities that have been deplatformed, maybe it does help us in some way, because it did eradicate, like I said, a lot of anti-Semitic and hate. Is that possible? I don't think so. But you have to throw it out there, because capitalism is what got us into this situation. The empowerment of capitalism, if you go back over the past 25, 30 years, the empowerment of capitalism is what's created this. the empowerment. In other words, capitalism having this much power to be able to say, we're a private company, we have rights. Remember that according to the Supreme Court, a corporation has the same kind of rights as an individual. So that corporation has a right to look at an individual who works for them for whatever reason and say, you're fired, we don't like your opinion on this platform. They have the right to do that. They have the right to demonetize this video, even though nothing in this video breaks the terms of service. I'm doing everything I can to make that possible. But if you look at the terms of service, they're written in a vague sense. They're written very vague to where when you read them, you can interpret. Are you following me on this? You can kind of make it, however, you can kind of bend whatever video you're watching and make it to where it defies the terms of service. And again, we need creators, content creators, and the general public, not just content creators, but the general public. We need sort of a Bill of Rights to protect us in this era. On Facebook, you should be able to share whatever you want to share on Facebook when it comes to not being offensive to other people, but other people have the right to block you and to dismiss you. And the way to, in my opinion, the way to deal with people who maybe paste hatred that you hate is, how about unfriending them? How about doing that? Why are we putting the pressure on corporations and not individuals? This country prided itself on being a nation of individuals. Winning people's hearts and minds is usually the best way to get your point across. And honestly, I'm trying to think of a better way around that, and it's kind of scary. Read a couple of these. Juan Thomas says, great group, I agree. Yes, they are. Dennis Jackson says, years ago, when I was in radio back in the 70s, the FCC monitored and told you what you could and couldn't say on the radio or TV. Now you can say whatever you want, and the FCC doesn't care. Dennis, you were so right. And I have that written down in my notes, not what you said, but a flip over of how crazy TV and radio's gotten. And you get Sirius radio, you're going to hear anything. And the internet's getting weird. Mark, let's see. Mark says, I don't think that when you contract with a particular corporation to join the platform, which has stipulated the rules and regs, that you can expect freedoms that you come to expect in the American lifestyle. I agree. And I've tried to say that in so many ways here again and again, is that you should not expect, like if I got on here and just totally bashed YouTube, I can understand YouTube being upset with that. And I've seen a lot of creators who are kind of with this bunch that have been trashed, and kind of isolated and kicked out, out of the pool. You're kicked out of the pool. I've seen a lot of them and people that support them bash these platforms. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're working together. We're partners. I wouldn't expect YouTube to be okay with me bashing them all the time. I wouldn't expect that. Because again, and I say this all the time, I am grateful for this platform. I am thankful to be here. I'm thankful that I got a check this month. I'll get a check next month, and our channel is on an uptick right now. Yay! It's great. So I don't put a demand on YouTube to say anything goes. But what I am saying is that I think even YouTube benefits by our content creators and, of course, the public. Anybody within the comment section, there should be a parameter that well-defined to where we preserve the freedoms while also protecting people. And right now, all of the weight is shifted towards the corporations and the platforms. And even then, like in the EU, with the passing of Article 13, it's even worse because now the platforms are under pressure from governments to help control political narratives and help control other things. And that is something that, I guess, Mark, that's what I'm saying, is there's got to be something that brings that back into balance. Right now, nobody's going to go to a town hall. If you have a town hall here, and where I live in Harrisonburg, by the way, it's been gorgeous today. I don't know where you're at, what your part of the country, but today here in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley, it was hot and beautiful, and the pollen count's going down just a little bit. But man, it is gorgeous today. I hope you get out in it at some point. Maybe it's going to be a gorgeous night. I don't know what the weather is tomorrow, but get outside. It's been great. But if you have a town hall meeting down here in Harrisonburg, you're not going to have anybody at that town hall meeting from, let's say, 18 years old to 35. They're just not going to show up. It's not going to happen. And what you end up getting is representation that does not represent society adequately. You'll get a demographic there that does not typically understand, and this is stereotyping, and I understand that, and I'm sorry, but I'm just being general. You will not get a group of people there that totally understand what's taking place. because people don't do the town hall thing. They get their information and they make their decisions based on what they're seeing in platforms like this. This is where it's at. And so that's kind of a crazy concept when you think about it historically. But if you're 45, if you're my age and older, and my demographics right now are kind of flat as far as which age groups are watching my channel. So that's kind of crazy. I'm thankful for that. We've got more 18 to 25-year-olds, more people from 25 to 35. I'm just grateful that they're watching. But if you're 45 and older right now, you may not fully understand what's taking place. I'm just being honest with you. My dad was the same. We've had this conversation. I was like, people don't read newspapers anymore. People do not watch the nightly news anymore. Look at their numbers. It's terrible. It's terrible. And I know Fox News has all these great people who are watching their channel because they're dominating the ratings right now, but that's because people my age and older are watching them. But if you're 18 to 44, let's say, you're probably not watching Fox News. You're probably watching what you're looking at right now. This is where you're getting your information. So if everybody's getting their information from this platform, and this platform is controlled, then that means that people's opinion are going to be swayed versus what they're seeing on here. And if that's the case, then there has to be something to bring that information into balance to where all points of views can be heard without people being anti-Semitic, racist, and hate. Okay, I don't want any of that stuff either, but we have to have some kind of balance. Let's check back in the comments here. Mark, again, I want to repeat your comment because it was a great comment and so true. Mark says, I don't think that when you contract with a particular corporation to join the platform which has stipulated rules and regs that you can expect freedoms that you come to expect in American lifestyle. And again, I totally agree with your statement. I'm just thinking as right now that is the case. But I believe in implementing something that does protect even workers at a local job to where there is an ability for them to voice a parameter, some type of rights for them to be able to voice things at their job. I worked at a corporation one time where I was told, you don't need to share Christ here. It doesn't need to be a platform for your religion. And I'm like, where's that line at? Because if I'm at lunch talking to somebody and they ask me, why are you so happy? Or where do you get the energy to do this? Or they have some kind of problems. Are you telling me that I can't use my faith? Well, of course I did. I'm a Christian and I have to suffer the consequences and did when I crossed that line. But we need some kind of parameters to protect people where it's okay to do that. Now, Mark talks about unless you pay them for the use of your platform. That's right. Now, I don't pay YouTube. You're right. I don't pay YouTube. YouTube pays me. Dennis Jackson says, and who is going to stop politicians from spreading hate and racism? That's the other thing. People don't understand that some of these people that have been deplatformed, a politician can start saying the same thing in a public forum, and you can do whatever you want to on social media, but if people gravitate towards that politician, how are you going to control that one? And what if that particular entity comes from the social media world? And they're one of the gurus who are behind all this. Now, that gets into a little bit of conspiracy and darkness and back rooms of a bunch of men smoking cigarettes. And I don't want to get into that. But it's possible that when that pendulum swings back the other way, the very things that have controlled and kicked out these other people from their platform can actually hurt other opinions. Beautiful in Westminster, Maryland. Man, it's down the road, and I'll tell you what, I'm wanting to go to Maryland this year. Just drive up there because we're so close now. Just drive around. It's beautiful up there. Absolutely beautiful. Juan Thomas says, it's nice as heck here, sunny and a little breeze. I'd like to be in Arizona. Juan, we are trying this summer to find a way to spend about 5 days in Arizona and under different circumstances, because when we were out there, my Arizona video is by far the best video. It's a top 10 list of Arizona. It's like a fact list, and I use stock footage. We were there for tragic circumstances, and all we could do was drive. That's all we could do. We were waiting for some information, and so I shot video. Never did a video about Arizona until a year later when I put that together. By far, it's made the most money, 300 and some thousand views, 1,000 some comments, lots of up buttons. Great video. But we want to go back out there under different circumstances and shoot a lot of video and go to some places. We want to go back to Sedona for a couple of days, and of course back to the Grand Canyon, of course, and go back out to the Painted Desert and that area, and probably drop back down into Tucson. There's some things down there that I wanted my wife to see that she wasn't in any condition or shape to enjoy it, so we didn't make that extra trip. But I'd like to spend about 5 days down there, just dying to go back. Strong says, the only thing I don't like is if you remove say the far right and leave the far left, now you only have one side to listen to. I guess that's my real opinion. When you move one end of the spectrum, you end up getting the other end. And here's the thing. I think what happened in 2015, I'm just being real. I'd just get it out there because I was fascinated by YouTube starting in 2012 and 13, and then by the election, I was in the YouTube world making videos, and by the election, I was making some dumb videos, but I was out there. But what I noticed is that the far right was more entertaining. It just was. The better videos, the personalities were more attractive. They were more charismatic. And honestly, another part of the aspect that bothers me on this, and I wasn't going to get into this, but we might as well. Another part is that it's a way to control things that are, in other words, the message was terrible. One of the personalities, their message, I didn't necessarily agree with, but their show was better. The show is just better than what the other team is putting out there. They're both, in my opinion, one's just as dangerous as the other one, in my opinion. The far right is as dangerous as the far left. They're both dangerous for America. We've always been kind of in the middle. But the far right just did a better job with production value, and I wish people would come out and say that and address that. Just saying. We need to have another live stream and just talk about that, and I don't care if it's demonetized, and go ahead and say names and all that, because production value matters in this forum and in social media. It matters. Mel Johnson, good to see you, Mel. Mel's always commenting on Facebook. He's always in there. Thank you for being so supportive, Mel. I appreciate you. I'm very grateful. Don't go to Arizona in the summertime. It is hot. Listen, one of the things people say in my Arizona video all the time is this is the hottest place on earth. Well, I've been to Arizona in the summertime. I've been to Las Vegas in the summertime. I've been to Death Valley in the summertime. And it's miserable, miserable hot. But I will take it over any day of the week. I will take it over the hot in southeastern Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida. And why? Let me know in the chat. Why would I prefer the heat out west in the summer versus the heat in the southeastern part of the U.S.? Let me know in the chat room, because you know what I'm going to say. Juan Thomas says, sorry to hear that. Pray that you have a better time next time. We love Arizona, and we had a great time, Juan, as far as Arizona. The people treated us fantastically. I've said this in some other videos and some other chats too. The people made it amazing. And there's something amazing about Arizona. It's a place of healing for us. There was a lot of healing that took place, and I'm telling you, it changed Carolyn and my life forever. Beginning in Arizona, there was a great change that took place that we're experiencing right now. My prayer time today, I talked about that to God, just thanking Him how much things have changed in those 2 years. And so Arizona actually represents all kinds of amazing things, even though it was a very dark time. But Arizona itself was great, and we can't wait to get back. Donald Raver says the corporate ideal can sway ideology by pushing one platform over another. That's what's happening. It's happening with platforms that, again, I'm not necessarily for. I don't want to line myself up with those platforms. Some of them maybe, but most of them no. But yeah, I don't. The thing is that if you take another YouTuber, and there's one out there right now, I guarantee it. I don't know him, I've never met him, but I guarantee there's a YouTuber out there right now who is learning how to reword all of those things that were said to be able to slide under the algorithm. And that person will probably be the next best thing to these other people that have been deplatformed. Mark my words, they'll just learn how to reword things. We call them dog whistles. Looking here, sorry to hear that. Donald Raver says, Bill, a little in place in Maryland is Fort Frederick near Big Pool. I will look that up because we're actually looking for a destination in Maryland. Good call. And it's called Big Pool. Let me write that down. Big Pool. Thank you. Good idea. Good idea. And Juan Thomas says, Mel Johnson, I live way up north. I moved from Phoenix for this great weather. Oh, yeah, in northern Arizona, and of course, Grand Canyon, of course, where Juan lives. That whole stretch is a little better than way down in Arizona. When we flew into Phoenix, I think it was 98 or 99 degrees in May, and it was like May 8th, this time of year. But we were freezing by the time we got to the Grand Canyon, and it snowed at the Grand Canyon. I mean, poured the snow. I had to get the salt trucks out and everything. I think that was May 10th or something. So yeah, different area. Mark says it better. Mark got it as far as why do I prefer Arizona's heat over, Georgia, Tennessee, southern Tennessee, and Florida? Because Arizona's heat is a dry heat. Everybody says that, but it's true. I mean, golly, if you go to Florida in the summertime and you're not from Florida, people from Florida are used to it. But when you go, my wife's from Florida, Carolyn's from Florida. But if you go down to Florida and you're not used to the heat, man, I can't explain it. It's just you're just blah. But it's not as bad out in Arizona. You have to drink a lot of water, but for some reason, the energy is just amazing out there. Love it. Great time to come here, Mel. Juan's pushing Arizona tourism. That's right. Strong says, it's a dry heat and y'all don't know humidity till you do a Louisiana summer. Oh, my old Cajun roommate and best friend, Ian Himble, will say the same thing. He was Cajun. When I was in college, we shared a place together. He paid half, I paid half, all that stuff. And he could cook. He was the whole Cajun cook guy, and man, he could do it all. But man, that place down there is hot, burning hot. Dennis Jackson says, gotta run right now, but I'll try to get back before you're through. We got about 7 more minutes in our time, but Dennis, I am thankful always that you showed up. Chris Brown says, do you get to Mont Eagle, Tennessee, specifically Jim Oliver Smokehouse? Chris, I was at Jim Oliver Smokehouse and did not one video, but 2 videos in which I allude to. You have to go to my catalog, and I'm trying to think. It might have been 2017. And we went to Jim Oliver Smokehouse. I did a video called Is Mont Eagle a Mountain by definition? And it's actually not by definition, but it's because of the definition. And it got quite a few views. And Jim Oliver's Smokehouse we did about 10 minutes on it. They treated us wonderfully. Jim Oliver Smokehouse is the best ribs I've ever had. It blows anything in Memphis out of the water. I love Memphis, Tennessee, folks. Beale Street is amazing. And I love the food. It's the first place I ever ate fried pickles the right way. It's amazing. But I'm telling you, the best smoked ribs is in Mont Eagle at Jim Oliver Smokehouse. It's very famous. It still is. Country music singers from Nashville going south, they have to pass over Mont Eagle. And they go down to Georgia and Florida and everywhere else, and they stop because it's that famous, and it's amazing. Matter of fact, I walked in there not even hungry. I took a sample of some ribs because they offered me a sample. If you believe in your product, give somebody some, and they'll buy it if it's a good product. I walked out of there with 3-4 slabs of ribs, brought my parents back, bought one set of parents back the next Sunday, and another set of parents back the Sunday after that. That's how much. How do you like that for an advertisement, Chris? Is that not a great advertisement? Going forward, dry heat. Don't know the humidity till Louisiana summer. And then Chris wants his bye to Chris. And then Donald Raven says, it's a colonial. And Donald is talking about... he said it earlier, it's called Big Pool up in Maryland, and he says that it's a colonial era fort just west of 81. Well, then it's just a few hours up the road. So, I mean, 81 is like 5 minutes from the house or less, and I will definitely check it out. Mel says, I used to build in Arizona, love it there, just not in May, June, July, or August. I'm telling you, got to get to those mountains, Mel. I bet you Snowshoe, I think it's called, Snowshoe over in Arizona, and outside of the Grand Canyon area, outside of Flagstaff, I think. I bet it's cool up there. Those big, awesome pine trees. Oh, I'd love to be there right now smelling that pine. It'd be awesome. Strong's Adventure says, and what I've seen on other live streams, if you wait 20 to 30 minutes before you say something controversial, you won't get demonetized. Not true. Because the live stream of mine that got demonetized, and if you remember, I think I was wearing that hat, the Aussie hat. If you remember that, and I was wearing a Gap shirt, if that rings a bell. It got demonetized. I watched it all again, and I thought, what on earth did I say? And you have to have 1,000 views before they're even going to look at it to do a manual review. I don't blame them for that. I really don't. But whatever we did, it got demonetized. Whatever we said. Juan Thomas says, Mel, the Rim is a great place to live. Boy, I'd love to be there. Oh, man. Strong's Adventure says, fried pickles anyway are the right way. Yeah. Okay. Really? Yeah. But on Beale Street, there's something special. I think they're a little better. I think it's the tartness of the pickle. I don't know. Southern dill pickles to me are better than other regions, and that's not necessarily always true. I know the Midwest, and even up in Michigan, the northern Midwest, some of their gardens up there, some of their fresh fruits and vegetables, I find superior to the deep South. It's crazy. You would never imagine that, but I really do. Some of their produce, some of their tomatoes. My papa used to raise tomatoes. He's a Southern. He's from Kentucky. But he moved up to Detroit during the car boom and all that. And he used to raise tomatoes. And those tomatoes were better than tomatoes we raised in the Deep South. That's a shorter growing season. But, man, and they're plump, the big plump kind of tomatoes. And I don't know if it's the soil or whatever the case is. But certain regions can produce certain things better than others. Fried pickles. Chris Brown says, I ate there first time back in November 2018. That place was wonderful. Best I ever had. Lovely advertisement. Yeah, Chris, it's like, and they do us right. It's not, they don't give us food, or we did one of the first videos about, there wasn't anything online on YouTube about Jim Oliver when we made our video. They were very kind. They shared the video, and we profited that way. It's not like they paid us for an advertisement. And like the last video we had, which I encourage you to watch, which is the Peaks of Otter Lodge, they didn't ask us to do that. We stayed there, and I wanted to do a video about the place because I found it amazing. It had nothing to do with the sponsorship. I don't get sponsored by anybody yet. I'm hoping to one day. But there's a trick to that, and the trick to that is I would rather give honest assessments and show what I like and not even mention what I don't like. That's not important. And if I don't like the place, I don't talk about it at all. Jim Oliver's cabin, or Jim Oliver's smokehouse, I wanted to talk about it. It was that good. It was just amazing. So if you're in the Tennessee area or that area, Georgia, if Dixie Chick is still on here, I don't know if you are, but if you're in that area of Tennessee within an hour and a half, 2 hours even, of Mont Eagle, it's worth your time to go eat there. Mel Johnson said, too cold on the rim in the winter. I live in a motorhome and follow the good weather. Yeah, Mel's living in the motorhome, Juan. You're never going to get Mel to, he's going to be comfortable. He's going to drive to where it's probably 65 to 70 and he doesn't have to run that air conditioner, and he can just open up the windows and not turn the generator on. I feel you, Mel. Mel, I've been getting you since we've been friends on Facebook and stuff. I know what you're doing. I love it. I love it. Mel's got 50 places. I've even gone to a few places Mel has recommended, like Natural Bridge. But there were some other places, but Natural Bridge, I think, comes to mind. I went there a week after he posted. He was telling me on Facebook, hey, you need to do a video on this. We do take sponsorships. If you have a product or something like that you're wanting to sponsor, and get the word out. We're reaching right now, our channel is reaching per month. I think the last thing I saw there is like 100,000 people and views. And so our individual videos, you have to understand, our individual videos may only get 100 views for the first few weeks, but give them time and they end up hitting 1,000, 2,000. If you scroll through our catalog, you'll see that. I'm not saying you're going to make a lot of money, but what we are trying to do right now is raise money for that trip to Arizona and some other places that we want to go to make videos. And so we're really, really excited about that. And I want to do that without being a Patreon member. There's nothing wrong with Patreon, okay? I like Patreon. But I don't feel comfortable because I'm a pastor of a church, and I don't feel comfortable asking people for money in this forum, like donations. I don't feel comfortable doing that in this forum. So I would rather have a product or some other way. And I honestly, the only other way is to offer T-shirts and things like that. We want to do that. We just haven't found a real reliable way that we can make the most money and give the best quality to people. I want something where when people are watching a video and they want to be involved and they want to help out, they get something worth it in return. Not just me making videos, but they get something more. Because the bottom line is, I'm going to make videos regardless. You are just as important to me as I am to you watching this video, because this is a conversation, this is a dialogue between us. And my videos are the same way. I love your comments as much as you might love watching some of my videos. So I don't want it to be where you're paying to watch me. What I would rather it be is giving you something of quality in return for what I'm able to do. Chris Bound says, Mad Backyard Life says, I want to try Jim Oliver Smokehouse. Let me tell you something. You lap your brains out. You will lap your brains out. Anybody know where I got that expression? Put it in the chat room. You'll lap your brains out. It is awesome. Chris Brown says, Southern hospitality. I work with a few guys from Mont Eagle. Some guys said Jim Oliver Smokehouse used to be even better years ago. I've only heard this from one individual. Everybody says that about some place that is historic, especially if you were connected to yesterday. All I know is it was the best ribs I've ever had. Anything else, I don't, how it used to be, I don't know. I'm ashamed that I did not know about Jim Oliver Smokehouse until the year 18 months before we moved, because Carolyn and I and our family would have worn that place out. It's a fun drive from Saudi Daisy, where we lived, to get to Mont Eagle. I don't know, 35, 40 minutes, if that. And it was a beautiful drive. Most days of the year. So I regret not going more. So I don't know how it used to be, and I hate it that I don't know. Donald River says, Otter Lodge was a nice video. Watched it earlier today. Here's the thing. I'm trying to become a little more clever in the way I present videos. More show, less talk. I mean, talking's a part of it because it's a personality-driven channel. Nose for Life is definitely personality driven. It is about what I have to say about a video. I don't know how to put that in the comments. Somebody recently, this is hilarious. Recently, somebody said, and again, cracks me up. They said, in the comments, they said, we want to see less of your face and more of the view. And I was like, ow. I was like, ow, don't hurt me there. It was painful. It was so painful. And it hurt. But I get it. But it's like, I'm sorry, this channel is not just about the views. It's about commentary and discussion and talking and encouragement. And it's okay. And I understand that opinion. I get it. I've always said I would almost rather on this channel produce it and direct it and write it as opposed to being the guy in front of the camera. So it's a part, but I'm wanting to make the videos to where it's more show and less talk, and that people enjoy, honestly, the editing process and some of the artwork that goes into it, some of the artistry that goes into the videos. And I'm getting to a point now where I'm actually getting to display what's in my head as opposed to being limited to my abilities. I'm continuing to study and get better at making videos. And so I refuse to rest on my laurels and just keep doing what I'm doing. And we went with a third-party music company to add different music, and we're about to go through a different editing company. It's just, or we're just going to advance the company that we have. We haven't decided. Mel said, I love the snow and I'm old. I hear you. Yeah, it's because, man, one, you're still in it. You're planting fruit trees out in the yard. You're probably still working 50 hours a week. You're that guy. You're that guy that goes out in the snow and plays. That's going to be me probably, because I love the snow here in Virginia. I loved it. Loved it in Arizona too. Juan says, you can sell your hair pill. Well, so I'm broke. I can sell some of this, but nobody would want it. Yeah, I'm broke. You can see I've already sold my hair. Chris Brown said I had the buffet and my daughter had frog legs. You know what? I'm the one guy in the South that I don't like frog legs. I am indifferent. There's something about frog legs that grosses me out, because it's like you go up, you can smell the grease and the flour, you can smell the crust. But then when you bite in, you get this, fishy taste. And it messes me up because I'm expecting chicken. And frog legs taste a little like chicken, but with that fishy overtone. And it just messes me up. When I was a kid, it shows you how redneck my family is. My family went frog gigging. I remember one of my earliest memories of my dad, I'm talking about when I was a little thing, is he had come back in, he had the spotlight on his head, and they had gigging poles, and they were gigging for frog legs. So I grew up with frog legs. But when I got older, I just couldn't eat them. Donald says, Juan, he'll be a millionaire. Look, guys, I have no hair. I get it. As I thought about putting makeup on my head just so it doesn't shine as much on my forehead. I'm just kidding. Chris Brown says, I found your channel with the Opryland video. You know what? That was one of my first better videos. I edited it on a computer. Up until that period, that wasn't my first video that I edited on my computer, but up for the first 20 videos or so, I edited videos with my phone. I did everything with my phone because my old laptop just wouldn't do it. It kept crashing when I would try to edit. Opryland was the first attempt at making a product, a start and complete, where it was about the product. And it was like one of the first successful videos that I had where we got a lot of views and it's still being watched and people really like it and they engage. And the other thing that I wanted to do with Opryland is throw it out there. Do people care about this kind of stuff? And if you look at the numbers on that video, the numbers are amazing. And so I'm grateful that you liked it. I'm grateful that you watched it. And it's been a gateway, that in our top 10 videos. And a couple of our videos that I'm not real proud of, like the Cumberland Gap conspiracy video. It was a hit, but I'm not real proud of that. I talked about that in another video. But yeah, I'm proud of the Opryland video. I would do it differently now. It'd be shorter. It'd be like 15 minutes or 14 minutes long. And some of those images I wouldn't use, but and it would be shorter. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And Strong says, yeah, me too. Chris Brown talking about the Opryland video. Bill, just stay pretty and yeah, that's it. Rhonda has to do all the hard part in the editing. Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is I do, what I rely on Carolyn for mainly is to support my endeavor on here, and she is amazing. Actually, this big speech with her, I'm going to be real and just share some intimate moments with you about Carolyn and I. We were on the mountains yesterday, not to film, just for us and enjoying some getaway time. So the phone was put away, cameras put away, and we were and kind of scouting too for the future. And we were talking, and I just came out and said it, Carolyn, I am so grateful for how you've supported this, because she supported this little endeavor before she even really understood what I was going for, before I even understood what I was going for. And so somebody had joked around, Bill, do you ever drive? No, Carolyn drives now, because honestly, we've learned that I can get so much more done by letting her sort of lead the expedition, me sharing the vision with her, and then her kind of acting as the part of a producer. If you want to look at what it really is, and kind of, I guess, helping me draw within the lines, getting videos out in a timely manner, and it's working for us a lot better. So she's done an amazing job. But when it comes to the editing and it comes to the filming and all that, that would be my domain. There's a way that I want things shot. There's a way that I want things to look. I'm not there yet either. Sometimes I go back, when I go to the editing process, I get so angry that I didn't capture what I wanted to capture for the screen. I'm hoping that over this next year, that when you guys watch our videos, that you will see a cinematic quality, more of a cinematic quality, to where you're not just entertained, but you're inspired, and you leave there feeling like you've been to where we've been. That's the goal, is that when you finish watching a video of ours, that your emotions have engaged and like you are emotionally involved. And that's what I'm going for. Juan Thomas says, I don't work, and I'm retired, disabled, and loving it. Oh, Juan, you plant fruit trees. I'm looking forward to those fruit trees. You need to send me some fruit too, man. That'd be awesome. Strong says, you need to try Louisiana frog. I probably do. It's crawfish etouffee, I think is what. Yeah, crawfish etouffee. I can eat crawfish. Isn't that weird? I can eat a crawfish better than anything. As far as when it comes to frog legs or anything, I can sit with a pound of frog, probably 2 pounds of frog legs, and just go to town, eat not frog legs, but crawfish, and go to town. The crawfish etouffee, I could probably eat a whole pan right now because I'm starving. So for some reason, crawfish is fine, but the frog legs give me the willies. But I bet you that in Louisiana, I'd like the frogs better. I'm just saying, it would be a different thing. Donald Bill, my grandfather always said God only made a few perfect heads and the rest he put hair. That's my saying. My hair is supposed to be bald. My wife says the best. Carolyn says the best is my head was not designed for hair. She said, if I told her, I said, I'm going to get a wig, just being funny. And she said, don't you dare cover up that bald head. I love that bald head. So, yeah, I don't mind being bald. The process of going bald was a miserable experience. It started when I was 16. And until 26, like, it was bothering me. So for 10 years, it was like an awful, evil thing in my life. But then somehow I accepted it and embraced it and took pride in myself. And when I say pride, I don't mean vanity, just loving who I am. And it changed a lot of things. It changed a lot of things. Strong's Adventure says, don't you mess with that Opryland video. No, I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to leave it the way it is, because it has a lot of things in there that people love, and I wouldn't dare touch it. I don't touch my old videos, period. All the old videos that I have in the catalog, even the ones that are embarrassing. I looked at one the other day. Let me give you a great example. I looked at a video, and I actually put a note about it. I probably weigh, I'm not going to tell you what I weigh. I'm huge. My face is like, I mean, it's just, it's bad. I just look like a big glob. And it's the Lookout Mountain video 10. No, it's the Battle Above the Clouds video. The Battle Above the Clouds. And I'm enormous, and at the time, I didn't know what this channel was going to be, so it was more history. I think Mel likes our history stuff a little better. Some of our stuff is a little historical, but that was back when this was going to be a history YouTube channel for a moment. But there are just better history YouTube channels and I couldn't make that a thing and try to compete in that world. It would be too time consuming to try to do that, because the research, somebody who has an undergraduate degree in history, the research required, in my opinion, to make that worth something is why I don't do history videos, because I believe every source should be cited, everything should be in there, and we have great YouTube. This platform, YouTube, has amazing channels that do that, and so I would rather push you to that channel as opposed to have our own thing that we're trying to do there. But anyway, I look enormous. And there's a part of me that would love to take that video down. It's only been viewed like 500 times. There's a few comments on there. It's not a great video. Again, I was editing then on my phone. So it's not a great video. The music's terrible. But I leave it there because it's mine and I have to own it. And I don't edit anything out. I don't go back to it. And I let people see how far we've come. That's where we started. Remember, we started this in 2016, really in 15, but I think our video catalog goes to 16. And when people watch those videos and watch our videos now, I hope they see the creative process and how much we've grown. I remember the first year and a half, we barely got to 300 subscribers. It was hilarious. And we still don't have that many subscribers. 6,000 people is not that many subscribers because you're not getting all 6,000 to come back every video. You're getting a tiny percentage of that. So, of course, we've got our goals, and we'd love to increase our subscription rate. But honestly, the only way that we can improve and the only way that we can grow, the only way this channel gets more exposure is with you. You have to share our videos. And I always say, if you don't want to share what you're watching right now, go back and find your favorite video and share that on your platform. Recommend our channel to subscribe, and I guarantee you, we grow. And as we grow, we can make better videos, and we can do more on this platform. Just reading back down, Mark says, she's the safari guy, talking about Carolyn. I was talking about earlier about Carolyn being the producer. Yeah, that's what she's turned into. We're going to try to hike. If you watch the video, Epic Hiking Fail or Epic Fail Hiking, whatever, if you watch that video, I made that video with love and with a lot of humor. It was supposed to be shtick. We weren't ever what you would call lost. We knew where we were, but we weren't getting to where I wanted to go. But Carolyn was so fun in that, and I let her make the final decision if we should try the hike we wanted to, and I'm glad she made the decision she made. But we're going to try to do a 3 Ridge mountain hike this next week or the week after, where we actually have to camp, and that's different for us. I don't know if she's going to go or not. She hasn't decided, so I may have to safari that one myself. Mark says, the Otter Mountain Lodge video has a very professional appearance. Yes, it does, but we're still missing that camera. I can't get into that right now. I wish I could. But we're still missing the quality camera because some of those images are not coming out through YouTube the way they need to. I've been studying film and video, how to get better, and what the experts say. One of my heroes on YouTube, not because I agree with any of his personal or political opinions, even though he's got opinions, but what I love about him is he's artsy, and that's Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat is one of my heroes when it comes to how he's able to convey information on the camera. Check out his videos. I don't know him from Adam. He's got millions of subscribers, and if you've been around YouTube a while, you know Casey Neistat. He is one of the pioneers on this channel. Watching his stuff, what he does in New York, amazes me. And it's because he's able to tell his story in the video with more imagery and less talking. Even though I love his commentary, I enjoy watching that aspect. It's not just that; it's what he has to say in every other with his camera is so much better. So I'm looking forward to a better camera because there were things about Peaks of Otter I wanted to convey with images, and I don't think that worked. So I'm looking forward to the future on that. Juan Thomas says, it's a good video, Mark. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Juan. Chris Brown says, did you ever go to Cane Tuck territory in Benton, Kentucky since closed in early 1980s? No. Matter of fact, I'm not familiar with that. It doesn't ring a bell to me. So I don't have that one, Chris. Buck Owens at Cane Tuck territory. No, I bet my dad would probably know about that one, because originally I went to college at Union. My daughter's there now, and lived in southeastern Kentucky for 9 years. I came home for 6 months at one point, but then went right back. So lived in southeastern Kentucky for 9 years and loved it. Missed the territory. I made that video about the Cumberland Falls and the Cumberland Gap conspiracy video and a few others there. There's a playlist about Kentucky as well. And absolutely loved being a part of that community there. Wonderful. Some of the best people on the planet, some of the smartest people on the planet are from that area. And I've said that before. People look at me and go, well, that's southeastern Kentucky. It's kind of like West Virginia. And I'm like, yeah, and some of the smartest people in the world are from southeastern Kentucky and West Virginia and some of these old coal mining towns. So I will fight anybody over southeastern Kentucky. But I don't know the Cane Tuck territory. I'm assuming that you said Benton, Kentucky. For some reason, I'm not knowing where Benton, Kentucky is. Donald Raver says, check out Slim Potato Head. He's a budget camper, does great videos, and can tell stories like you do. I need to check him out. I've heard of him before. I actually found another guy, and I can't remember his name, who does videos a lot like ours. He doesn't have his wife with him on most of them. I don't even know if he's married. He has 100,000 plus subscribers, but there's so many similarities between our channels, and he kept coming up in my recommended feed. And he makes better. I'll be honest, he's where I'm wanting to go. I want to tell a little bit better story with the camera than he does, but he's amazing. I got to remember his name so I can push his channel. You guys will enjoy it. I live in Evansville, Indiana, near Henderson and Owensboro. Man, moonlighting in Owensboro. Moonlighting, good barbecue. And as good as that barbecue is, what we were talking about Mont Eagle, their smoked stuff is in the same neighborhood and famous as Owensboro. And I'm assuming you're talking about Owensboro, Kentucky, because that's just, how far is Owensboro from Evansville? It's not far at all, if I'm not mistaken. But moonlighting there in Owensboro. Have you ever eaten in moonlighting? Benton is near the Land Between the Lakes, Sparkling, Kentucky Lake. Yeah, see, I didn't live in that area. Land Between the Lakes I'm familiar with. That's a cool area. We wanted to do a video of that area and moved during the summer. We were supposed to go there. We had done our research and everything to get up there, but we just moved. Barkley Lake is a great place to fish. I'd love to go fishing there. I used to fish tournaments and really enjoyed bass fishing. I had to get rid of my bass boat a few years ago, about 10 years ago. Actually, it's been not a few, it's been 10. And I miss fishing tournaments. I miss bass fishing. But that's time consuming as well to get into that world. Very time consuming, a lot of money to stay into that. Chris Brown says, yeah, Moonlight Barbecue, 32 miles from now. See, that's some good stuff. We were talking about the smokehouse, Jim Oliver Smokehouse earlier. Moonlight Barbecue, man, you'll lap your brains out there as well. 32 miles from your house. Yeah, Chris, I'd be hitting that place all the time, man. It's just an amazing place to eat. Listen, I am so grateful that you're here. We're actually 18 minutes over because we just kept talking, and I want to thank you all for being here. Again, real quick, Chris Brown said, I love Moonlight, the Big Dipper ice cream next door. Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty cool stuff. And I can't wait to get back. I just can't wait to get back. However, it's time to go ahead and shut it down. And I want to say I'm so grateful again for you being here and being a part of what we do. And be blessed. Again, my name is Bill Marion, and you've been watching A Nose for Life. Thank you so much.